Guess what, y'all? Today's December 4th, and it might seem like an ordinary day on the surface, but for me it's actually quite special because I started this YouTube channel a year ago. We can all thank Google Timeline for taking a shit. It's been a year now since they've made that horrible change where you can all use it on your mobile device and no longer the desktop, but I figured, fuck it, I should start uploading to the internet, put my personality out there, and share with you guys what I learned. So, given that it's been a year, I thought we'd do something fun just like I did 6 months ago and look at my channel's results as a whole. Not only can I show you how bad YouTube is compared to Bitchute, I can also provide you the information that I've gotten from YouTube and Bitchute. That way, for those of you who are on the fence about creating a YouTube channel or a Bitchute channel yourself, you can make a more informed decision. So first things first, you can see that YouTube has 7,000 views. In total, after 45 videos, Bitchute has 18,000 views and Rumble has 518. For this video, we're just going to talk about YouTube and Bitchute. And really, again, Bitchute and Rumble are really nowhere near the caliber that YouTube is, but YouTube is really just pressing the thumb on everyone and trying to squash out anyone they can who doesn't represent their views or aren't in accordance with like the mainstream slop. Bitchute and Rumble, on the other hand, are a lot more Wild West, and you can kind of post whatever the hell you want. Bitchute, really, like, there's gonna be some like crazy videos that you see on there. There's still good content on there, but you have to sift through it a little bit because there's just like shit posting and just like wild stuff. So overall, you know, like Bitchute has a pretty rough search function in compared to YouTube's, although YouTube has gotten so much worse that you might as well just use like Bitchute at this point. I mean, have you tried to put something in YouTube recently in the search bar and then you get these results and you're like, what the fuck, and why am I getting like 8 shorts? I don't watch shorts. Why is it recommending me 9,000 shorts? I don't want to watch shorts. Give me long form content. That's what I mainly would consume. Anyway, I have 25,000 views in total, and obviously I'm not monetized. I make no money for this. I just post this for, you know, spiritual income, knowing that my word is going out to the world. And when I started this channel, I really wanted 10 people to watch my videos consistently and be happy. In real life, it's kind of hard to find those people and high-five them, but if people are finding your content and it's as niche as mine is, and they're happy with it, I'm really content with that. So let's look at the breakdown of the YouTube videos and the Bitchute. So YouTube is like feast or famine. You can kind of see that I've highlighted basically anything that has above like 200. Everything is double digits with the exception of like 7 videos. There was a walking video I did here, and this is also a book review right here. So other than those two, everything else has been pretty much under 200. And to give you an idea of what those 38 or so videos are totaling up to, it's 1,178 views, so really like nothing. So the best videos I've noticed that I use actually piggyback off of the biggest people in, we'll just say like highlight names. I uploaded a video where I was talking about Dave Smith's take on a podcast. That got 1,400 views. Steven Crowder was doing something. I got 1,700 views with that. Alex Jones got his channel for a few hours and then got turbo insta-banned, so I made a video about that. And these 3 videos got a lot of views. And then these 3 videos, as I talked about in my 6-month review, are basically at the same levels that they were 6 months ago. Someone turned off the tap and decided that they didn't like what was in there. Here I talked about Joe Rogan and Mark Zuckerberg's clip. Although these 3 videos, it's more interesting and nuanced, but I really wasn't piggybacking off of anyone. Leviathan and Its Enemies is the only video review of a book that's gotten more views over time because the book, like I said 6 months ago, the book is extremely niche and it's going to continually bring in people who want to read about that book. There's like nothing you can search about on YouTube, and I was baffled nobody had done a review of it, so I put that out there, and go figure it's going to have people coming in and trickling in slowly, you know. This video was about the Civil War, and I made an 1.5 hour long video breaking down in depth why the war started, the parallels to today, and then the actual fighting of the war. So really the first half of the video was pretty engaging. If you're kind of more of like a Civil War nerd, then I recommend you watch the whole thing. But overall, this is like a very niche thing, and there's a high level of analysis, but it kind of proves that just because you upload something that's like over an hour or an hour and a half, and that video was a fucking bitch to edit because that took forever, but when 500 people view it, it's like, oh my god, I'm like actually making a difference. These people are like valuing that, and I got a lot of good comments on there. So when you get that kind of feedback, it makes you want to go like, damn, what I'm doing is actually making a difference, even if it's not in the most amount of people's life. It's making a difference in other people's life, and it's helpful to them, and they find it insightful. Let me share this with other people. It makes you want to do it with other stuff, you know? And then the last video we'll quickly discuss is Tinder has gotten really shitty, and it was kind of funny, of course, that when you talk about kind of culture war stuff like that with women, you're going to have a little bit of more likely to have success at least. And I got 940 views, which is like 10 more than it was 6 months ago. So in conclusion, YouTube is pretty much a piece of shit. It's going to be kind of boom or bust. And even when it is boom, remember when I'm saying boom, it's like if I get 1,000 views, I'm very lucky on my channel, for at least YouTube. But when you're posting overtly political stuff, and again, like in the last 2 or 3 months, my channel's gotten a lot more political overtly. But when you post like political topics, and especially you're not conforming to like the mainstream, you're really going to suffer a lot because you're going to get shadow banned. You're like the bottom of the totem pole in terms of what YouTube considers important. So just be aware that when, YouTube has all the power and you're basically the loser who has to conform to their shit, they can auto strike you, auto ban you, shadow ban you, they can take down your stuff for whatever reason, or they can really just make your life miserable. You're fighting a giant bureaucracy, and it's not even like a bureaucracy in the typical sense. It's more like a tech bureaucracy that's like invisible and just like performs things, and you have no knowledge. It's not a fair game. It's like playing chess where you don't know what the other person's pieces are, but they know what your pieces are. So overall, if you're gonna start a political channel, you have to do it with like high levels of motivation for YouTube, at least in my opinion. For me specifically, like not only am I happy if 10 people view my videos and like watch them in totality, one day I want to be able to share this with like my grandkids, Maybe we'll have to like backwards compatibility search like, oh, this is what my YouTube channel is, plug in this and make YouTube work because it's so ancient in like 30 or 40 years, But overall, I want to have some sort of like, I guess, time capsule thing. So even if it doesn't get the most amount of views, I know that in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, it'll be useful. And it'll be fun to look back on, That's kind of YouTube as a whole. It's very bad if you're in the political space, which is almost directly why Bitchute was invented. Now, Bitchute's a little more interesting because you can see there's way more consistency. It's almost like suspiciously consistent. Other than these two videos, everything that's older has pretty much 400 and above views without fail. Except for this video, this was on Bitchute trending for a few days, so the amount of views skyrocketed. But you can kind of see that once it goes past here, this is like 6 months ago, it goes from 400 to 300 consistently, then it goes to 200, 300, and then the most recent stuff is like 200, 170, 150. So it's almost suspiciously like linear, other than that video again. And it makes you wonder, are these views like artificially inflated? Is it really like 500 people? There's no analytics, so you can't really measure like who's watching for how long. And again, this is like the total opposites, right? You have YouTube, which is like over bureaucratized. They will shadow ban, they will do stuff in the dark, they will pull strings behind your back. There's like puppet master shit going on. And so this is the stark contrast of YouTube and Bitchute. YouTube is overly analyzed, it's become slop, and it tries to propagate a lot of BS. So for those of you who are going to be political, you're going to be suffering a lot. But the search function, at least 2 years ago, worked really well. Now, not so much. But what they may lack in search function, they make up for in overly censoring and making sure that anyone who's even to the right of Chairman Mao is going to suffer on the platform as a whole. Shadow banning, ghost unsubscribing sometimes, and just being miserable to work with in general. What do you do if you have a complaint? Well, you don't call a number. You just have to throw a complaint in the dark. And there's not even like an email you can complain to. It's just completely and totally through their system. It's total bullshit. And it's intentionally over bureaucratized, right? And then you get to Bitchute, which is on the total opposite spectrum. Well, now there's nobody moderating anything. I don't think I've seen porn on there, but other than porn, there's just like all sorts of wild shit on there. There's plenty of good stuff. You just got to be aware of what you got to sift through and be aware that there's really almost no moderation, right? Which is perfectly fine. What happens when someone calls you the N-word on Bitchute? Guess what? It doesn't matter. Someone calls you the N-word, someone calls you this, someone calls you that. Who cares? Call me a cracker. See if I give a fuck. When you get mad at someone else calling you a name, guess what? You're giving that person power because you're taking their words seriously. You're not valuing your own opinion. You're valuing their opinion more of you. And that's really like the ultimate weakness, right? So when people say like, oh, I'm offended, right? It's total bullshit. It's like, well, you just have a weak fucking ego. And the worst is now as a society, we're conforming to these fucking people. Anyway, before I go on a rant that digs me even further into the black hole of YouTube, I just wanted to say that other than these two videos, it's been remarkably consistent on Bitchute. Almost suspicious. You never really know who's viewing. You don't have a way to measure the metrics on Bitchute the way that you do on YouTube. It's kind of cool on YouTube, but it also highlights when people are dropping off, the retention. Like stuff like that's kind of fun to look at as a nerd. But when you're shadow banned, you don't really want to take it too seriously. So as a whole, I have 18,000 views on Bitchute, and YouTube I have 7,000. So the ratio of like 2 views per Bitchute and 1 view for YouTube is like roughly correct. Although you can see that it's really just feast or famine on YouTube. And I mean, I just looked this up, but between March 25th and September 25th, when I got 400 views again, there were 6 months where I posted, 20 or so videos, and they got like 700 views in total. That is a very long time, and YouTube is just extremely unreliable. And if I hadn't used the clip of Crowder and Smith in their respective podcasts and the comment on Alex Jones, I wouldn't have gotten any views of any kind. So YouTube is just like a total fuck fest. I'm lucky to get views as it is. For all intents and purposes, I like to think of myself as a Bitchute channel, because even though the maximum amount of views you probably get is like no more than 20,000 if your video goes crazy, you can at least post there and expect to have some sort of consistent audience there. So to wrap this up, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, do as I have, where I've made my YouTube channel, but I'm really not posting on YouTube for YouTube views all too much. I'm really posting more as a Bitchute channel, and I put everything on YouTube, but whenever I'm going to get banned is when I'm going to get banned. There's nothing that I can do about it, because YouTube's already done the dance with the devil, and they're kneeling at the altar of communism, and they love suppressing whoever they can that doesn't support that view, or might even challenge it. We all know that communists don't like having their view challenged by facts. Those things are very inconvenient, and they think that we should send people to the gulag who even push back on communists, or socialists, or whatever the hell people call it. It's just collectivism as a whole. I'm trying not to make this the perpetual let's bitch about YouTube channel, but it is worth saying every once in a while, because we have to remind ourselves as people that yes, YouTube is composed of a bunch bunch of fuck nuts, and they'll make your life miserable as possible. So if you like this, let me know. I'll probably do something for a 2-year. I'm probably not going to do another thing in 6 months, but maybe I'll do something next year. Breaking down data like this is really fun for me because I'm kind of like a statistics kind of nerd. Not because I like statistics, but like, making something pretty personal that can help other people. It's just interesting to me. So take care and see you guys next time.